Okay, hello everyone, it's Mr. Alberonen here again, and in this video I wanted to talk about Launcher, who is probably the most buffed character in this patch, which is saying a lot, because there was a lot of buffs in this patch. But she got a lot, and unlike some characters, she didn't just get changes to the tools she already has to make them better, she got access to new things and new abilities that she didn't have before, so she can go for completely new combo routes, completely new Gatlings, completely new pressure, completely new zoning tools. She's basically a reworked character with the same moves, but they all work in almost completely different ways that you can use them in so many useful different ways. So we're going to talk about what is different about her and the main strengths and changes she has to the different aspects of her gameplay. So we're going to start with, I think we're going to go from lamest to coolest. So we're going to start with what's different about her zoning now, then what's different about her close-up pressure and offense, and then what's different about her combos. So, as I said, we're going to start with the lame things. We're going to talk about her zoning first, which most people probably don't appreciate, but if you're Launcher, you know you have to do it sometimes. It's what she can do, so you may as well make use of what makes you strong. So, there are only a few of the changes make big differences to her zoning, and the main one, I think, is doing the whiff-canceling grenade. Because now it just covers so damn much of the screen. If whenever you've pushed the opponent full screen, maybe you've gone for like this, and now you've set up your zoning in such a ridiculous way. So after you get this cannon, usually I like to do 2 rockets because they combo now, and then you do the third one, and then and then you've just set up so much stuff on the screen. You've done a bunch of damage, you've got a meaty rocket flying at the opponent, and you've thrown out a grenade, and as they're blocking the meaty rocket, you shoot out another rocket. And all of this, they're basically unable to avoid. They can't roll forward because you've thrown out the grenade as soon as they've, right after the meaty rocket. So even if they've rolled that, they roll straight onto the grenade. And she just has really good setup tools. So yeah, whenever she goes for this, go for some rockets. After the meaty rocket, go for a grenade into another rocket. And obviously, whenever a rocket hits meaty, you can just keep going for some more and extend in the usual ways. But when we're talking about zoning, we're talking about what she's just doing from full screen. So setting up grenade into rocket, super good. If you do think the opponent is going to roll and you are a little bit closer and you're going for grenade cancels, I do recommend you go for your 6S instead of your 5S, because a 5S just has, in general, a longer duration. It takes longer to start up and longer to recover. So if the opponent does roll, there's a higher chance that they'll be able to punish or do something about you going for this closer to them. But if you go for this, it's pretty unlikely that they'll be able to punish you because she blocks way before the grenade blows up. There's a chance that the grenade could cover you, and you're just likely to be safer because it's faster and recovers faster. So up close, make sure you're going for this. And it doesn't matter that it only hits the opponent standing, because you've got the grenade covering crouching opponents. So it's okay that people can duck under it. And from full screen, that's basically all that's different, and the rest of her zoning will kind of apply the same way. So you can throw out your grenade, your nuke, and see, even though I did all of my regular zoning, so I had thrown out a little grenade, you couldn't see it on the screen because of the massive explosion, but there was a little explosion that happened right in front of me, there was a massive nuke on the screen, a bunch of rockets and stuff, just having this projectile flexibility. See, threw out my grenade just in the middle of it. Just means she can go for zoning in a lot more of a lockdown way, where the opponent can't just move a little bit and just dodge every single thing, because now she can cover the straight, she can cover the ground, she can cover a big portion that's going to do a chunk of damage. She can just do a lot of stuff at once, which is really cool. And also her anti-zoning tools. So if the opponent does have options against her full screen, maybe fighting a ranger or something, who will try to mash you out when you're going for your things, going for this, oops, don't actually go for the laser. That's just to reduce the recovery when you land. But if someone is trying to mash you out, now your laser is cheaper and just slightly better on hit, because it has a slightly more a hit advantage and block. It's not as minus on block. So you can throw this out, it's cheaper and just generally better. So it's a better way of just saying, hey, you don't press projectiles, I do that. And yeah, I think those are the main changes from full screen. Getting the the projectile conversions and stuff is all basically the exact same, but the only difference is that now she can cover the ground with effectively an exploding landmine in front of her, which is really, really cool and just makes her full screen zoning so much more powerful. And now when we get a little bit closer to around this distance, she has, in effect, one of her new changes, or one of her other new changes, all of her changes are new, is Flamethrower is actually way more useful now. Because now, whenever she gets it, she actually gets way more reward. She can either go for damage by pressing her 5 MS. This is mainly useful for closing out the round. If the opponent gets hit and you're like, oh, I just need that little bit extra damage, it basically doubles the damage of the Flamethrower, and you can just kill the opponent with that. Or what I like to go for more often is just going for your massive cannon to kind of set up more offense. So you can do this, and then, just start your zoning as you would. And if they block it, well, it still pushes them full screen, so you can still do the same thing throughout these projectiles, because then they're going to hit them like super meaty, and they just have to block you from full screen now after they've blocked a single flamethrower. Now, the thing is, they can roll in between the flamethrower and the massive cannon. So if they are trying to roll in between the two of those, that's when you can go for the laser, and that'll catch them trying to... it won't catch the roll, but if you, depending on when the timing is, it can hit the recovery frames of the roll, or it can just jail completely from the flamethrower so they don't get any options. Cool, cool, cool. So, both of her main ranges for zoning are super buffed with these changes. From full screen, you can throw out grenades and throw out nukes more easily, and everything just works just a lot more better. Everything just works as it should. And as we get closer, now her flamethrower is a really good neutral tool. It used to just be like, hey, stop pressing stuff, but didn't lead to any reward. Now she can actually get double the damage, or she can get really good setting up offense with her main offense tool. And when she's closer, the grenade thing is still useful. You just want to make sure you use things with slightly less recovery so you don't get punished if the opponent does roll. And, oh, we're not close enough for those yet. I'm just trying to think if there's any other changes here that really affected her. I guess this is kind of getting in range. This is kind of getting a little bit close. But yeah, I guess we'll talk about when she's up close now. And the one I just showed you there, obviously, was now, depending on character height, character distance and stuff, she can actually get stuff off of her jump A. Woo! So now she can do an instant jump A and actually combo off of it into using her B. And it depends on the distance, because she has to get a crouching A. I don't think she can get a standing A. Let's see. Oh, she can! Wow, that is so cool. So, as you can see, off of an instant jump A, she can just go into her laser and it'll actually combo, which is a huge change for her, not something she used to be able to do at all. Yeah, maybe it's a little tight with the standing A and it's better to go for the crouching one, but whatever. She can get combos off of it, which means she has so much more potential for answers against grapplers, or people like to throw her, or just any situation where you have to jump. She was pretty useless before. She could go for this laser, which is wasn't advantage on hit before, because she just does that and that's all. And now she can instant jump into this and actually get combos from it, which is ridiculous. And her bomb and stuff is better now, and yeah, jumping is just actually useful for her, which is really, really cool. And now that we're up close, we can talk about her buttons are super strong now. So the main change was that crouching A is now actually a button that you can press now. It's faster, so it's her good mash button, and it links into her standing A. And it can be delayed links, so she can get these staggers where she goes stagger, stagger, and then does the follow-up, and it's pretty scary how she has all these Gatlings out. We'll talk more about Gatlings, but it also now has so much hit stun that you can just go into her other stuff like she would with her standing buttons. She can just do this into this, and this actually combos now. She can do this into the grenade, into this, and she just actually has options off of her fastest button, which, thank God. Imagine not having options off of your fastest button. Couldn't imagine that. And as you can see, you can also use it if she's close enough to go for these nuke combos. I haven't practiced them actually, so we're not going to talk about that. But it's just a good button now that actually hits low, so you can hit Grappler out of doing his charged things that get hit by lows. So she can actually go for this and get something from it. She doesn't have to rely on going for a sweep or something ridiculous. She just has this really good long-reaching low that can actually combo into her regular buttons. or even combo into her specials. So it's just generally a way better button. And now let's talk about the Gatlings that she gets increased combined with it. So now not only can she just go crouching into standing follow-up, so a total of 4 hits, and you can get delays in between the hits to like try and fish for like you can go for delays, you can go for staggers, so like do. So that was like on its own, cancelled, pressed, or just repeat, or you can delay it, or you can delay it, or do the follow-ups. There are so many options she has now, and because these all have such little recovery, she really needs to abuse this because people love to roll against Launcher. The rolls are so good now, and they can just get you out of any of her offense, which is really good now. People mash rolls a ton. You gotta make sure you're going for these like staggers where you just like mash your buttons a bit, like do, and if you, as long as you don't like commit to everything, like the full string every time, you're gonna be able to consistently punish and grab out rolls when they try, or like even like punish them with combos, which is something you gotta make sure you're wary for, especially in this version where rolls are so strong. But yeah, even this is not the only increase to her Gatlings. She can now Gatling and use her flamethrower and actually go for her flamethrower into other things. And like if the opponent's blocking, it's basically the Gatling. So you can go do into this. And this whole string now pushes them full screen. And yes, there is a gap in between the flamethrower and the bomb and the massive cannon. Which you can also do. And then she's done a ton of chip damage, especially in Awakening, pushed the opponent decently far away, and just done a ton of hits on her offense, which she wouldn't be able to do before. Now she can also do even cooler stuff using her grenade, because she doesn't even have to hit the opponent with it like she does with the flamethrower. So that can lead to some interesting things, especially at different distances, but when you are at point blank, this basically is just all... the grenade can either like hit instantly, and then all of this is like airtight pressure that goes into itself. So she's pretty scary, especially in the corner. There is actually a gap in between this and the massive cannon still, but the opponent has to really watch where they actually go for their rolls, because she can really mix it up. So yeah, sorry. I have to make sure I don't accidentally just go into labbing corner stuff. But yeah, she can do crouching into 2 standing hits, into grenade, and off of grenade she can do any of her specials. Not her mana specials, her specials. So she gets even longer strings when she goes to this. She can go do, push in full screen. And there are some gaps there, like after the grenade toss, because it doesn't hit point blank. It isn't just part of the string, so they can roll in between that, or DP, even though most DPs won't reach to that range. And I don't think roll... I think this is a roll. That's a jump. God damn it. There you go. I don't think a roll... Oh, yeah. I don't think she's that minus. She's a little minus. I find it hard to test. My opponent should probably jump after they go for it. But yeah, do be careful. When you go for the grenade, there is potential for them to roll there. That is why I made sure to emphasize that you go for a lot of these staggers, where you can just grab the opponent out of it, like do, they go for roll, grab them, or you just like reset it, do, and just make sure you go for that stuff a ton. That's obviously always the base of your offense, because rolls are so good. So, yeah. And if they're not rolling, that's when grenade becomes really good. Because you have super long strings, the grenade becomes super plus, so you can even just like go for this and just go for like super cheap stuff that just pushes the opponent completely out. And now you're full screen and it's your turn to go crazy. She has a lot of options. She's so flexible now, which I love. But yeah, after she throws the grenade, you can use this in combos to either go from like grenade into the slide. That combos now if she delays the slide a bit. And depending on where you are when you throw the grenade, and like when she's pressing buttons, if you're not point blank, you can actually go grenade toss into her 6S, and there's a chance that the 6S will hit early enough that the grenade explodes afterwards, and she actually is hella plus after it. And this is a little hard to get in training mode, but it happens a decent amount online at distances where you go for this kind of stuff. So see the grenade, oh, see that was a little bit too far away, but the grenade just didn't blow up at all. But it happens reasonably consistently online, where that's too far again. But throwing that out, if you just go for the 6S because it recovers faster than her 5S, you can kind of reset your offense if the grenade stays for long enough. And you can do the same with her 5S. You just have to be a little bit more careful that you might get punished from rolls, and it is just, has longer recovery, but then also, obviously, if the opponent isn't blocking, then it will lead to actual combos. So when we're talking about all this stuff in combos, now she just has so many more links to easily hit confirm and into the slide instead of having to react. She doesn't have to react at all now. She can do. Yeah, I've definitely hit the opponent by now. I can definitely tell I've hit the opponent by now. And then go into whatever launcher stuff you like to do. And also she can go. And from that, unfortunately, I don't know if she can go for a slide after this. Let me test. Oh, she can! What? I just can't believe I didn't realize that. That's so cool. So now she can go for tons of hits before she goes for a slide. You definitely don't even need to hit confirm. Okay, that's really cool. I can't believe I didn't notice that. Wow, so she can just go full screen. Okay, I've hit the opponent. Go in for my slide, and as long as you time it correctly, you get a slide. It doesn't lead to tons of damage, but just being able to go for all these hits just makes her better for hit confirming and for pressure sequences. And on hit, if you want to push them full screen, oops. Obviously, you can still do the same stuff that you were doing before. But that leads to a new change, is that now, because this is an OTG, she can get it from situations she used to not be able to. After she gets the slide, she can actually go into this now. And it'll OTG the opponent. It doesn't do as much damage, and it doesn't have as good of a launch at the end, because the opponent is has the lesser bounce because of the OTG. But it still pushes them full screen, and you can still hit them with meaty stuff. You hit them with one rocket, hit them with two rockets, then the last rocket is super meaty, and then if they block it, well then you get easy block pressure, and if they get hit, you can dash in and get a combo, as I did just then, and flopped. And you get to loop your lovely launcher offense. And also off of the slide now, going for her grenade pressure is a lot more easy because the grenade explosion is bigger. So she can go for a dash in block and then still have time to go for her AA into a slide to loop it. So she can bait DPs kind of in an option select manner, because she doesn't even have to react to the DP or commit to blocking it. She used to either have to just dash in and press the buttons instantly, but now because the explosion is so big, she's time to dash in, block a DP, and if she blocks it, well then, she gets punished. And if nothing happens, then she can just be like, oh, nothing happened. I can just press my buttons and blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. This isn't really a buff, but I feel like I should mention it here. Unfortunately, because of the role changes, that affects a lot of launchers' Oki offense. So stuff like this, into the laser, it's meaty, but it's no longer guaranteed to be blocked, because the opponent can now roll. Everyone has a roll that is instantly invincible, so they can just roll out of this. So you have to be watching for that a lot. You can't just go for the laser constantly, because if they do roll, then they're probably going to punish you for going for the laser. So a lot of her offense has really changed. That's why I tend to go for the grenade a little bit more now, because now at least you have a chance of being able to beat people who are going for rolls, because you're just standing there and then going for lights, and then obviously that's just the natural counter to rolls. So yeah, unfortunately, nuke and laser offense is not as strong anymore. I just felt I should mention that. Now, also when she's close to the opponent, this is kind of a neutral thing as well, and I forgot to mention it. Now, her 2S, being an amazing anti-air with basically 6p properties with like almost no upper hurt box, she can anti-air the opponent so well. It is so nice to hit them with this, and you can jump cancel it now and get combos off of it. So if you want to do something meterless, you can do something like that. That does a decent amount of damage and still leaves them in a hard knockdown in front of you. So then you can set up this on top of them as they wake up, and it just works really well. But if you want to spend meter, well then you can go for some pretty juicy nuke stuff. So you go hard knockdown into a nuke. And then if you've practiced, you can get some cool pickups where you carry them all the way to the corner. Actually, in some of the videos I put up, I showed some nuke combos. And in the community combo compilation, there's a bunch of really cool launcher combos. I haven't practiced them right now, so I'm not gonna embarrass myself and say I'm a pro at using them. But yeah, obviously, oh my god, what was that? She has a lot of combo potential off of it, okay? Just trust me. Now, when we get, I think we've talked, yeah. So when she has like Oki stuff, she still has the nukes and stuff, but going for grenade is a little bit better, as I mentioned. And I think we can kind of go to the corner now, because, yeah, one of the other options is instead of going for Oki, she can go for this to carry the opponent straight to the corner instead. If they block this, then boop, boop, boop. Or if they don't block it, you get your combos and you win the corner. Now, she's just as ridiculous in the corner as she was before. If I have my opponent block so I don't... Blah, 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 blah. There we go. Okay, so in the corner, now because her strings are longer, she just has a lot more things that she can do. And vary up her offense in a lot of different ways and break the opponent's guard if she just has slightly above 100 meters. She can even do it with 100 meter. And if she's in Awakening, as you can see, most of the damage comes from chip damage. And as long as you are aware of all the things I've talked about in the video already, the corner offense is kind of just gonna fall into place naturally. So obviously she just has more hits off of her Gatlings now, and you can just loop it in, or vary it in whatever way you want. The longest is gonna be crouching, standing, standing follow-up, grenade into your specials. But there are gaps in this, so you do have to make sure you vary it and you don't do the same thing every time, or the opponent will just know that they can roll specifically when you go for grenade or specifically when you go for the cannon. So you should make sure that you are incorporating the other things you talked about, like going for staggers and stuff, and like just repeating offense, instead of just always going for linking into your super long strings. Because although they look really cool, the opponent is able to do things about it. So yeah, as long as you're varying which strings you go for in the corner, you'll be fine, and these are some of the main strings you can go for. So as I mentioned, the longest one is crouching, standing, standing follow-up, grenade, special, into your massive cannon. But then she can also do things that are airtight in different situations, where she can go crouching into grenade, into her projectile. So crouching A, grenade, and then into a special. Oops, that's flamethrower. That's flamethrower again. Or she can also go for flamethrowers, as I accidentally did there. So she can go crouching or standing, flamethrowers, and then go for the stuff afterwards. And if you, after the flamethrower, you also have the option of going for this, which does a ton of chip damage and doesn't have a gap in between it to be rolled. You can also do things into grenade and not do follow-ups after the grenade. Instead, just reset your offense with your regular attacks. So crouching, crouching, standing, standing, grenade, crouching, standing, standing, grenade, And you can even whiff cancel that grenade and throw some projectiles on their face as the grenade explodes. You can also technically go for some weird jump cancel stuff if you're really close to the opponent with your standing A. It doesn't really work off the crouching one because when they block low, this doesn't really hit against most characters. So usually you have to do like a jump standing thing and then go for something like this. But it doesn't really have too many good air options, so I don't go for this often. But if you want, you can go something like oops. Oh, that didn't even work. Yeah, maybe just don't do this at all. Yeah, maybe not your best bet. And you can also just go for buttons into your specials, which most of the time is plus, especially if it doesn't hit right away. Anytime you can go buttons into flamethrower, into mana specials, and just as long as, it's pretty self-explanatory, as long as you're just looping it and making it different each time, it'll make the roll gaps different each time. And if you end it at different points each time, then they don't know whether their roll will be punishable enough. If you end it really early, obviously you'll easily be able to punish rolls. If you end it like with a grenade, there's a chance that you might be able to like be safe against roll or even punish roll. Or if you do something like a 6S that they roll, usually that's safe enough that she could throw afterwards. Just make sure you're being variable, make sure you're not just looping the same things over and over again, because even though it looks really cool and kind of looks like it maybe could be airtight, it never is. So make sure offense is varied. Variability is key for launcher in the corner. And yeah, now that we've talked about what's stronger about her zoning, what's stronger about her mid-range neutral, mainly the flamethrower, and what's stronger with combos and like Oki knockdown situations, I think those are the main changes that have occurred with launcher. She's got buffed in basically every aspect of her game plan, which is lovely, but unfortunately, when you, like in a void, these changes all sound really, really good. But when you compare them to the rest of the stuff that happened in this patch, I can't say for certain that it's going to be enough to actually make her stronger relatively to the rest of the cast. She's stronger definitely compared to her old self. And I think maybe she does have a lot better chance against some of the other characters, but in just relativity-wise, she maybe will still be on the lower echelons of the game. But at least now when you play launcher, you have a lot more options of interesting things you can go for, you can vary your offense, and if nothing else, she'll be more fun to play. And possibly, hopefully, less fun to fight against, because it's DNF Duel, and 0 characters are fun to fight against. Anyways, I hope this guide was helpful for you and you learned something, and if you don't play launcher, maybe it convinced you to try her out, because she's really fun, particularly in this patch. She was even fun before, now she's just even more ridiculous. And it's honestly addictive playing her in training mode, because she just has so many cool things to try out, to practice. And if you watch these crazy nuke combos, you better go do that right now. I'll link some below, but they're cool. Anyways, I'm rambling. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.